Welcome to the Feel Good Lab podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Gresh. Join me as we bring together the brightest minds in health and wellness, covering topics from sleep and nutrition to exercise and mindfulness. Our goal is to give you actionable advice to optimize your health and ultimately to feel good. So, welcome to another episode of the Feel Good Lab podcast. Today's our first sponsored episode, sponsored by Body in Motion Physical Therapy. And I'm here with a great friend of mine, Nicole Lussier. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what is Body in Motion?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Ryan. This is awesome. I'm just loving this being on the podcast with you. Body in Motion is my physical therapy practice where we treat all of our clients on a one-on-one basis. So I branched out, private practice. All of our treatments are private, one-on-one. We work with performance-based athletes. We work with sports medicine. We work with mostly the adult population. And our goal, our mission was to revolutionize physical therapy, revolutionize pain relief and care for the adult active population. So that's what we do. And it's been so amazing so far. It's definitely evolved along the last year that we've been in practice. But we just opened our brick and mortar space in Bloomfield. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The office looks amazing. So anybody local here in Connecticut, highly recommend checking it out. We'll give you plenty of information at the end of this on how you can find Nicole. But
we sure will. So yeah, that's what we do, and I'm just so proud to finally have that brick and mortar and be able to treat patients and clients the way that I've always dreamed of treating people, not just like a number. And that's what we do here at Body Motion.
And one of the cool things is, like, even you go to your Instagram profile, right? I think it says pain relief coach. That's very unique, really niched down. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I always thought of physical therapy more than just like a medical practice. It's really a coaching practice. It's looking at an individual as a full body approach, as a holistic full body approach. So when I say pain relief coach, it's not just, oh, you're coming for Achilles tendinopathy, I'm only going to treat your Achilles. No, I'm going to look at how you're sleeping. I'm going to look at what you're putting into your body nutritionally. I'm going to look at what you're doing activity-wise and how we can make that more efficient and more effective for what your goals are, for what you want to do. Pain relief to me is so multifaceted, so multifactorial, right? It's not just your body part, it's your lifestyle.
And I think that's why we connected so much. There's plenty of reasons. You're an amazing person, entrepreneur. I love your energy, your passion. But look at our tagline, right? Fight pain with wellness. Exactly what you just described is what we stand for. And that's where I think a lot of the synergies come in. Like, we don't believe that, I'll say it this way. We started out with amazing over-the-counter pain relievers. And that's really what our brand was built around. And we took two different steps from that. The next one being opening up our eyes to the different supplements that we could include that could really improve our overall wellness. And then the next piece being one of the things we'll talk about, I don't want to go there quite yet, but our food inflammation and our testing and looking at our diet and our lifestyle. And so when we take a step back and we look at what fighting pain with wellness means to us, it's actually the opposite of how we started. It starts with your lifestyle, your sleep, your nutrition, all these things. And then if you can't optimize there, you can look at supplementation. And then if you can't get the pain relief there, then you can look at the over-the-counters and then inevitably the prescription. And, with you're starting from that ground level. We believe the work that you're doing individually, one-on-one with people, is way more impactful than what we could do with products. And we're not ashamed to say that. We want to be the first ever pain relief brand. We don't need our products. I envision a future where we could be almost like a media company where we're just helping to educate people so that they don't need the supplements, they don't need the pain relievers. Now, we're not there yet as a society. Unfortunately, our society is a little bit sick. Many people are in pain. There's 100 million Americans in pain. And the scary thing, the statistic I always reiterate, 2/3 of them don't think anything will ever work. And so they're hopeless. Yeah. So you've worked with people probably that have been hopeless and you've seen amazing results. I've seen you firsthand posting these incredible testimonials. And I know that you are not making any of this up. Like, you're that type of person. Tell us a little bit about some of those examples.
Yeah, so I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said, part of it is instilling confidence and reducing some fear in your clients. That's my biggest piece of advice for therapists out there is you have to instill confidence in your patients, and that's exactly what I do. I mean, I'll take a client who maybe has had chronic back pain, right, for years. I have a client right now who has had back pain for 25 years, was scared to bend down, was literally scared to bend down. So she wasn't exercising, she wasn't doing anything. She was just letting herself be stagnant. And I just kind of brought up to her like, hey, I'll say her name's Mary, just for compliance purposes. Hey, Mary, you know, when you go bend down to, or when you grab your groceries from the floor, are you bending down? Mary says, yeah, I do. You're right. Hey, Mary, you know, when you sit on the toilet, are you bending down? She's like, huh. You know, I guess I am bending a little. So I think it's just reframing the way you talk to your clients and teaching them that a lot of the movements that they're scared to do are functional day-to-day movements that they do all the time. And then for one thing I said to a new client who I just onboarded yesterday was, you know, I know that pain is scary. I know that you lost trust in your body because of it. But I just need you to give me just an ounce of trust. Me, not your body. You don't have to trust your body right now. You just have to trust me, just an ounce. And that will compound over time, and you'll just naturally start to trust your body. So it's like the way I talk to my patients, the way I educate them, and the way I just instill that confidence back into their body in a really skillful way, if I do say so myself, honestly.
Well, I'm seeing it firsthand here, and like the superpower that I'm kind of hearing from you is it's the bedside manner. Yeah. And I think one of the atrocities in the conventional medical model is the fact that oftentimes the patient care, there's just not enough time. It's not the doctor's fault or whoever you're working with. It's just that there's not enough time. And that bedside manner, you know, the placebo effect is one of the most repeatable things that we've ever seen in science. It's very repeatable. And so when you instill that hope in the patient, I think it really goes a long way. And giving them the confidence and looking and reframing it like, okay, we're not going to go from a pain of 9 down to a 0 immediately. But if you go from a 9 to an 8, and then to a 7 over the course of weeks, if not months, that is massive progress.
Yeah, that's
and
the compounding. Yeah, right, the compounding effect that happens. And it's just so incredible to watch. I mean, I think a lot of times people have these really lofty goals like, well, I want to be able to run a half marathon like I did when I was 20 and they're 50 now. And not saying that you can't get there, because you can absolutely get there and do that again. The body is so resilient and so incredible in the ways that we can alter and transform and change. But it's all about taking the baby steps and taking one step at a time until you get to the next point where you trust your body even more, your body's even more strong, and you can get to that point. It's just you need to be in the hands of someone who knows and can implement this like skilled prescription of exercise progressions.
Mm-hmm. And you practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So tell us a little bit about like what do you focus on in your health? And you can go as detailed as you want, but I know that you're doing a lot of things from fitness, like you're working out all the time, to diet, nutrition, etc. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I am very much wellness-based in my own life. So in terms of fitness, I exercise probably 5 days a week formally. So I currently am really into strength training right now. So my background a little, I was a dancer, and then that transformed into me being a yogi. And then ultimately that transformed into not just doing yoga, but implementing yoga for mobility. And then I picked up strength training about 3 or 4 years ago where I really got into it. So right now my split looks a little bit like I'm doing a push day, then I'm doing a pull day, a leg day, a full body day, and then I do like a cardio mobility day. So those are my 5 like prescribed days that I do for myself, and then every day I'm moving my body. So the other 2 days a week, maybe I'm walking my dog, or I'm doing an extra yoga class, or cleaning the house, like any type of movement. I really never sit around. So that's kind of what my fitness regimen looks like, and I really truly believe that everyone needs days off, rest days. So that's why I do 5 days, and I think anything is good, like 3-4 days.
And what are your goals on the fitness side?
Just to honestly get stronger. That's what I really want to do, is just build up my strength, especially as I approach 30. We all know that as we get older, muscle starts to diminish and decrease, and it's harder to gain strength. So as I approach that age, I would like to continue to get stronger and build up my body and just feel confident that as I get older, I don't have to worry as much, because this is the part of the preventative medicine that I'm doing. on the back end. So yeah, that's what my fitness regimen looks like. And in terms of like lifestyle in general, in terms of nutrition, I eat a pretty wholesome diet. I do track my macros. So right now I'm just eating to maintain, if not gain, a little bit of weight, because as I'm strength training, I actually want to have some bulk so that I can gain the muscle. So I'm eating about, for my personal macros, I eat about 2,500 calories a day. I'm really adamant about having at least 124 grams of protein per day, so my body weight in protein.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I try to do like 1 gram of protein, per body weight. So I'm 124 pounds, so I try to eat 124 grams of protein. So I'm really purposeful about that, and the reason why is because all of your calories come from either protein, carbs, or fats. So I could eat my whole diet of carbs and fats and that would be fine, but that carbs and fats provide energy. They're not actually translating into muscle protein synthesis. So I need the protein to gain muscle. That's my main goal. Mm-hmm. So I definitely balance the carbs and the fats and definitely focus on protein in my diet right now. I try to go for whole foods. Like I said, I try to mix a protein, carb, and fat at every meal and try to eat as many fruits and veggies as possible. I admittedly don't love vegetables as much as I probably should. So, I'll mix them into an egg scramble, or I'll mix them into pasta because I love that. Or I'll take a scoop of green powder every day. So we talked about supplements. I have to supplement sometimes. But overall, I really too try to eat wholesome, but also enjoy my food at the same time. Like, I love chocolate, so I have a piece of chocolate almost every day, right? Like, I like to go out with my friends, so I'll, go out to dinner maybe once or twice a week. So definitely no restriction in that end. Sleep is extremely important to me, Ryan. Lately, with opening my practice, I will admit I've only been getting like 6, maybe 7 hours of sleep, but I really focus on not just the quantity of sleep, but the quality of sleep.
Mm. Do you track it with anything?
I don't. Yeah. I saw you.
We just got Oura rings, Ethan and I. And,
I saw.
We really like them.
I want one.
Now, I will say, I've been super stressed the past week, and I've been sleeping less, and holy cow, does it show up? So I look at my sleep score, and I'm not surprised, but I'm like, yeah, I don't feel particularly great today, and my sleep score is, really not good. And it just motivates me. Like, I have a coach I work with, and one of the things he preaches is, you can make a mistake, you can slip up. Don't do it 2 days in a row. And if you don't do it 2 days in a row, you're going to be making progress.
This is a good point, because habits, right? You could get into that downward slope of doing it more than 2 days in a row and getting into like those bad habits, or you can just maybe slip up one day and then just restart. That's what I tell a lot of my clients is you can have a bad day. Mm-hmm. You can have shitty sleep one day. Just get right back on the bandwagon and just follow the path that you want to follow the next day. Get your 8 hours plus. So I'm really strict about my sleep. I prioritize it for sure.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I've probably said it on every podcast. Like, we can go 30 days without food. We can go, a lot less on water, right? We can go even less on sleep.
Yeah.
They don't even allow us to do clinical studies on sleep deprivation. In fact, that's how you torture people. I mean, it's like catastrophic. If we've ever pulled an all-nighter, imagine pulling 2, 3 in a row.
No,
that's how bad our body needs sleep, and it needs to restore itself so that we can perform. And one thing that you're definitely not lacking is energy.
I have a lot of energy.
Has that always been the case?
I've always been an Energizer bunny. It's so funny. People my whole life have been like, you're an Energizer bunny. And I don't know if it's just inherently in me, but I definitely believe, and the research will show that, eating a wholesome diet, getting enough sleep, just surrounding yourself by motivated people, happy people, doing what makes you happy in life. Following your purpose makes you happy. And trust me, there have been plenty of times in life where I felt down, low energy, grad school, having jobs I didn't like, all those things. But if you can kind of pull yourself out of that and really truly, like you just said, find your purpose and follow that path and do as best as you can with living this holistic lifestyle and finding wellness in your day-to-day life, I swear it really helps with your energy level.
Yeah, and you inspire me. I love, for listeners out there, Body in Motion PT. What's the Instagram handle?
Body in Motion PT.
Yeah, follow it on Instagram. You're going to be motivated. You're going to learn tips. You're going to learn tricks. I see you every day, and I'm like, man, you're up there lifting way more weight than I can. And I'm like, I need to get my butt in the gym today, right? But it's inspiring. And so what you talked about is having other people around you that inspire you and are just holding themselves to a certain level of like, you don't need to be perfect, but you're just getting 1% better every day. In fact, that's something I worked on with my coach this morning. He's like, hey, you don't need to be perfect. Just get a little better than you were yesterday.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. And I like want everyone to feel the energy and the motivation. And when I bring on clients into my space and they're like, I wish I could lift as much as you. It's not a comparison game. I want you to be better than me. Let's do it. Let's get you to that point where you can feel confident and happy and strong and super proud of yourself for your abilities, because we all have it within us. Mm-hmm. We just need someone to pull it out of us and get there.
Totally. Yeah. And so one of the cool things about your practice, outside of just, the focus on pain relief, which I think is so aligned with what we work on, you were forced to do a lot of digital work over the last 2 years. Some house calls, but a lot of work online. And so for people out there listening, you don't need to be able to go in person to get the benefits. Can you share a little bit about that experience and kind of some of the stuff you learned about helping people do this at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did start my practice digitally about a year ago, and it works wonders because so my practice has this digital component still. Even my in-person clients, we connect to my digital app. So I have an app where all my clients can get connected to see what their programming is going to look like with 10, 20-second video clips to show the exercise. And then they can communicate with me and track their progress by saying, hey, on back squat today, I did 100 pounds. And then maybe in a month from now, they can look back at that and see, oh, wow, I was doing 100 pounds. Now I'm at 180 pounds. So they can kind of objectively see that graph go up, 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 and track progressive overload. They can communicate to me via the app and say, hey, Nicole, I felt a little twinge in my hip right here, and maybe upload a video or upload a picture showing me where they felt the twinge, or just even comment and write me a note like, hey, this is where I felt the twinge. What should I do differently? So then I can give them the feedback back and say, hey, next time you do the squat, why don't you elevate your heels, or why don't you add a resistance band, or what have you. So it's very interactive. And the other part of the app that I love is that it keeps my clients accountable. And I think in the fitness world, that's a lot of times what we're missing is that accountability. It's so much easier just to say, it's gloomy morning, or I'm not feeling up for it. I'm just going to skip the workout today, or I'm just not going to go. I'll go tomorrow. But to get on your app and you get an email from me every morning saying, hey, Ryan, good morning. Here's your workout. To get that email and to see it in front of you and be like, Nicole's watching me and waiting for me to check that I did this and upload feedback, it gives you that extra push that I think a lot of people are missing in their day-to-day life. So it keeps you accountable. We have that 24/7 access community communication, right? So they're always communicating with me as needed, and they feel connected with me at all times. So they have the support, they have the accountability, they have the communication, and I think that's what really has made our program very successful in the 100% digital aspect. And then, now that we've added that in-person component, I see my clients now 1 time a week in person just to follow up. And they don't have to do in person. We can do it 100% digital, right? Because we've proved it worked. Yep. But that in-person session, we can do more hands-on work. We can actually do corrective exercises and then follow it up with that digital program. And my clients love the digital app and that whole component of it.
Well, that's great. One of the things that we really focus on is like accountability, and following through is so much of the game because, I know a lot of areas in my life that I could be better at. I just don't do it. So it's not a lack of understanding or a lack of knowledge. It's just somebody holding me accountable. And honestly, oftentimes it needs to be yourself, but it is great to have tools or people like you that we could bring in that can kind of do that. But what are some things that you see? Like, I think that if people aren't motivated by themselves, you're not going to be able to give it to them. But are there things that you could maybe share that you've seen work for people?
In terms of accountability?
Yeah, just like staying motivated and accountable, right?
Yeah, so I often ask a lot of whys. So your why is so much more than, I want to look good. Well, why do you want to look good? Because, and things come out in that conversation. Well, because, I'm scared my husband's going to leave me, or because my only daughter's getting married and she means the world to me and I want to look great and feel really great for her wedding, or I have a teenager at home and I want her to be as confident as she's growing up and I want to be confident so she can see me be confident and then grow into confidence, right? So there's always a deeper why. It's so much more than aesthetic. So I really, always more than aesthetic. So I ask my clients, I really have them dive down deeper internally to find that. Because you're right, Ryan, it's not just me who can keep them accountable and give them the support. They need to want it. But how do you want it? You have to figure out why you want it, and that's why I dive deeper. Ask yourself why, then ask yourself why again, and then ask yourself why again. And you're probably going to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, that's awesome. And actually, as we're going to transition, I want to tell you a little bit about the fit test.
Yeah.
But we're working on a program that's going to accompany it, because we know just giving you the results on foods that may be causing inflammation in your body isn't enough. That's not enough. You need to be able to implement it. And so one of the pieces of the program is working with one of our wellness coaches to help you address the why, right? It might be weight loss, but why? It might be, feeling sick or lethargic, but why? Why do you really want it? And then if you can remind yourself of like, oh, that's my why, that's one of the most ultimate motivating things that you can do. And so we know it's a lot more. Like, we could have just said, okay, great, we have what we think is the world's best food inflammation test, we're going to launch it, here's your results. But if we don't provide that, 8 to 12 weeks of support that goes with it to help you implement the results, then we don't think we're actually doing our job.
Yeah, it's easy enough to just take the results and be like, oh, I have an intolerance to X, Y, or Z, I'll just eat that less. But it's another thing to be coached through it and to actually have that support of, okay, this is the guidance that I'm going to give you, and this is, again, your why. It's so powerful.
And the other thing is, too, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you
Love
read that
the book.
Yeah.
Love it.
So he talks about, right, you can't just get rid of habits. What do you need to do with them?
You have to actually make it happen, make a change with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
replace it.
Right, with a better habit.
With a better habit. So
exactly.
the key is, hey, no more chocolate. No,
that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's, hey, instead of chocolate, here's something that you enjoy just as much that's healthier. And
Swap
now
it.
you're going to get rid of the chocolate, so it's not in your environment, but we're going to give you the better thing, and it's going to be right in front of you. Yeah. So it's going to trigger you, oh, you know what, I'm feeling a sweet tooth. I'm going to have my, whatever it might be. Chocolate's a bad example because it's kind of hard to replicate.
I know. But you get the point. Oh my gosh, love it.
So one of the cool things that I was excited to do today, and let's spend some time kind of setting the stage on what this is, but we're going to do a little live action. And Nicole has brought her dry needling kit, and this is one of my favorite things that I was introduced when I met Nicole 2+ years ago back at her old job. And it's a practice called dry needling. I'm not going to do it any justice explaining it, so I'd love you to kind of explain what it is, what the benefits are, who might use it. And then I've been having a little bit of an issue in my bicep, and so Nicole's going to actually show everybody, what this is and apply it to me.
Yeah, so with dry needling, it is a Western medicine technique. And basically, we utilize an acupuncture needle. It's a small monofilament needle. And we're actually going to put that needle directly into the muscle where I find a trigger point. So a trigger point is a palpable band of tight tissue. So I'll feel on Ryan's body where the trigger point is, and then we'll actually put the needle into that area. And by doing that, we're creating a little bit of a micro trauma in the muscle, right? Your muscle's like, why do I have something in me? This is weird. And that stimulation actually has a neurophysiological effect because we're putting the needle into the muscle. It's stimulating a response in the brain to say, okay, there's something there that's not supposed to be there. Micro trauma, hello, brain, start to work, sympathetic nervous system turns on. Once the sympathetic nervous system turns on, blood flow goes to the area, your body's naturally anti-inflammatories go to the area, and healing can start to happen. When the needle goes into the muscle too, and Ryan, you might feel this, you might feel like a little twitch, and that is that trigger point kind of releasing and relaxing. So a lot of times people get instant relief from dry needling because of this trigger point release. It's really like the best trigger point release technique that we could ever do.
The first time I ever did it, I was having some pain in my neck. I had a severe knot there, and when it got released, tears were running down my face, not because I was in pain, not because of joy. I don't know why.
Your sympathetic nervous system.
Something happened where like my tear ducts released, and it was just like, it definitely was relief. I was sore the next day, right? You definitely get a little bit sore. but it made a huge difference. So I've been a huge believer ever since, and I was excited when you said, yeah, let's do it today. We just wiped the area with alcohol, and Nicole has clear gloves on.
Right, exactly. All right. So basically, I'm gonna feel Ryan's bicep. Typically, he'd be lying down, but I know he's not gonna pass out. So feel that, like, it feels almost like a guitar string, Ryan.
Like a click, yeah.
Yeah, like a clicking over.
That's the spot.
That's your trigger point. And we can do a few different spots, but basically, I'm gonna put my thumb on it. I'm gonna tap the needle in.
Zero pain.
Right. And then it's called pistoning, so I'm just pistoning the needle up and down, just seeing if I can find a trigger point here. And nothing's really twitching, but I'm feeling like a little resistance through the needle. So when I'm putting the needle in, basically I'm trying to see, does it feel smooth like butter? Because then that wouldn't be the spot, or is there like a little bit of resistance under the needle?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm even feeling a nice spot there.
Like I'm not, oh, there it is. Ooh.
There it was, you guys. We got the twitch.
Holy cow.
Okay, we got the twitch. So that's exactly what we were waiting for. Yup. Love it, Ryan. Okay, and we're out.
Wow.
And I'll clean that up for you.
Thank you. Holy cow.
How amazing was that?
I was like just about to say, like, it doesn't even feel like anything.
But then you got the twitch. That's why.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do it. Welcome back. So I was literally right about to say, like, this feels like nothing at all. And right as I was about to say that, boom.
Trigger point.
And it felt, so basically the issue I've been having, and I think it's stress related. I thought it was hydration related, and I've been drinking so many electrolytes, and it's still been happening. And so I think it's lack of sleep, a lot of stress, and I get a lot of these knots throughout my body. I'm just tight relatively. So the sensation is like all of a sudden I'll start to get like a pulse, right? And what would you call that? Is it a trigger point or like?
Yeah, like a little muscle twitch, a spasm
like a
of that sort.
And it just it's not painful, but it just bothers me. And right when I was about to say I don't feel anything, it basically caused that spasm.
Exactly.
And you could feel it like deep inside the muscle, like that's definitely the spot that it's coming from. So tell me about like what should I expect? Is it going to be sore? Is it going to go away? Is it maybe going to come back?
Great question. So after dry needling, you will definitely be sore because that trigger point response, like that release that you just felt, was basically like your muscle being from a knotted position to like, like it just got a really hard workout and finally released, basically. So soreness is typical for 24 to 48 hours after dry needling. You're going to want to focus on even more hydration. So really hydrate you drink a lot of water. Move your body. So whether it be like walking and you're swinging your arms, or you're doing some mobility, or you're doing yoga, or even strength training, whatever. Any type of movement is good because we know exercise is going to increase blood flow. We've already increased blood flow from the needling, so we want to continue to increase blood flow. So if you were going to go for, a jog, that'd be fine, whatever. Any type of exercise is great. And then you want to put heat on it, not ice on it. So you don't have to, but you want to definitely avoid any kind of cold exposure because cold is going to mitigate the blood flow, and we have increased the blood flow, so we want to maintain that.
Wow. Well, thank you.
You're so welcome.
I'm so
glad.
follow up in the next day or two.
Yeah.
Let me know my feeling if this comes back, but it's one of those things that like maybe it's a placebo, but I already feel like better.
I don't think it's a placebo because we actually saw the twitch.
We saw the twitch.
We got that twitch.
So, how often do you use dry needling in your practice?
Every single day.
You do? So almost all patients?
Multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Almost all patients.
And one of the things that I found unique, and I'm going to butcher this, so then I'll let you fix it for me, but, I've done acupuncture before. Mm-hmm. I had a really severe ankle sprain playing basketball. Like, it was 7 years ago. I'm still dealing with the repercussions of it. And I looked up, like, what do elite athletes do, like NBA players when they sprain their ankle? And acupuncture was, like, a really high correlation. So I said, you know what, let me go try it. Well, I'm thinking I sprained my right ankle. I'm going in there. Where do you think I'm thinking they're going to put the needles? On my right ankle. They put the needles on my left ankle and my right hand.
Yeah.
I think. I might have it backwards. But it was like, it basically had to do with the meridians.
Correct.
And it's very much Chinese ancient medicine about, these meridians and how they can affect and the balance. I actually do think that it helped improve the healing. It was one of the worst ankle sprains I've ever had, and it definitely start to see some reduction in inflammation. I went for, I think, 2 or 3 sessions. But so when I was introduced to dry needling, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is basically the same, right? Opposite. This is more of what I expected,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So is it almost like bringing together Eastern and Western medicine in a sense?
Yeah, a lot of my clients also do acupuncture in combination with the dry needling. It's totally fine to do both because they have 2 completely mindsets and like theories behind them, right? Because dry needling is more of Western medicine, like as you put, acupuncture is more Chinese or Eastern medicine. And one's not better than the other. They're just using 2 completely different theories. And I think they're fine when used in combination together. Absolutely.
Cool, yeah. Well, thank you for that.
You are
That's
so
awesome.
welcome. You're going to feel great.
So what other tools do you have like in your toolbox? Obviously, this is one that's a little unique. You do the physical therapy, you look at diet, nutrition, you're kind of looking at all aspects of somebody's life. But if I'm going to come and see you and I have lower back pain, right? What's that going to look like?
Yeah. So a typical session would look like, let's just say you're coming in for low back pain, or you can choose any body part. We start with an initial evaluation where I get to know you as a person, not just your back pain, but I get to know, what are your goals? What do you want to be able to do? What does your lifestyle look like? And then I would obviously look at how your body moves. I'd look at your back. I'd maybe, check your mobility, and not just the mobility of your back or hips. We'd also be looking at your ankle mobility, right? We'd be looking at the strength of your core. There's so many pieces, especially with back pain. Back pain is so much more than back. Like, where is the root cause coming from? Like, what is the root cause of your pain? That's what I'm trying to figure out as your physical therapist, as your medical provider, is how can we really address the back pain from the ground up and figure out where it's coming from. So that's my job on the initial evaluation. So we'd kind of do a little bit of that. We'd do some movement. I would connect you with my app and put together a full program for you. So if you're coming with back pain and you tell me your goal is to run 5 miles again, then maybe we start with just running 1 mile and doing mobility before the run. And then the next day, maybe taking a rest. And then the next day, maybe doing leg strength. So you and I would sit together and put together a mutually agreed upon plan for return to function. And then I would see you again the following week. We review how the last week went in terms of exercises, review some of your comments that you left me, advance your program a little bit. And it's a lot of hands-on care. So typically when my client comes in for a follow-up appointment, anywhere between like 15 to 40 minutes is spent doing just hands-on care. So I'm doing dry needling, I might be doing some cupping therapy, I might be manipulating your spine, mobilizing your spine, I might be doing some Graston, using the metal tool on you. I might just be doing some mobilizations with my own hands or some soft tissue work with my own hands. I might be using my Theragun on you. So a lot of different hands-on techniques that I do. And then we'd follow that up with movement, purposeful movement. And then we might end with a little bit more hands-on work. And I have to say, I always use Feel Good Labs cream in my clinic.
Thank you for the plug. Tell us a little bit about when you use it. Like when?
Yeah. So I have both of them. I have the sports recovery lotion and the natural pain relief cream, like the original one. And I typically use... I intertwine both of them on my clients. I'll use it before we get into movement, actually. So I know that a lot of times you guys preach, use it after exercise, but I love to use it actually before movement, and then I'll give them like a little sample or do it again at the end of the session just to make my patients and clients leave feeling great. But I do it at the beginning because I want to, if people come to me and they're coming into the clinic with pain acutely, I want them to feel great and empowered to do movement. So that's why I start with the hands-on care. And I might, we'll use the low back pain example. If they're coming with low back pain and I find that there's a specific segment of the spine where maybe on the lumbar erectors, that's a tight spot, I'll take like a little piece of the cream and I'll put it right on that area. Maybe in combination with me doing manipulation to their spine, or maybe in combination with me doing dry needling to the lumbar multifidi. So it's really it's like multifaceted. Of everything I do is not just one thing, but a few pieces of the puzzle. So I'll do it before and then sometimes even a little bit after the session.
Yeah, that multifaceted piece is, why we think you're so special. And I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Usually we kind of stick just on the health and wellness, but it's been so fun to follow you on your new entrepreneurial journey. You literally have been watching you put together your new office over the past month.
I know.
Let's talk a little bit about, honestly, it's fun to talk about the successes. You're going to be so successful. You already are so successful. Let's talk about the challenges.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest thing in the past month?
Oh God, in the past month, I think just balancing my time, like, and understanding that I'm not just an entrepreneur, but like I'm still Nicole. I still need me time. It has been so easy for me just to spend hours on my computer or book more clients and forget, like, oh, I don't have to go to the gym tonight. Like, it's 8 p.m. and I'm just leaving the clinic now. I haven't had dinner. Like, I need to, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, I practice what I preach, and lately I've found myself slipping a lot. Again, not getting great sleep, sometimes skipping the gym, eating dinner at like 9 p.m. and then crashing at 11. I mean, my routine has changed a lot. And so I'm really trying to, at this point in the game, so early, just form healthy habits and set boundaries. I am not great at setting boundaries, especially when it comes to work. So I think that that's something I need to work on. Is I'm always there for my people, but I need to be there for me first and really give myself love so I can give all my clients love. So that's one big challenge that I'm working on, is just making sure that I spend time with myself.
Totally. And you're in like the thick of it, right? You're trying to build, you're probably putting together equipment, working with clients, so you still have a full client load.
Absolutely.
So it's only going to get better from here.
Of course it will.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one challenge. And like I always tell people, I think a huge challenge for physical therapists who are opening their own practice, and really any entrepreneur, is at the beginning you do it all. So I answer phones. I bill clients. I work with answering all my emails. I'm the marketing person, right? Like, I'm the everything person. I say, when I talk about my practice, I say, we do this, we do that. But really, it's me.
Someday it's going to be we.
Yeah, someday. But right now, it's me doing everything. So learning how to market and create Instagram reels, learning how to host workshops at local community events, learning how to do podcasts and do all these things that normally people would help you with. I've learned all on my own. So that's definitely a challenge and a learning curve. But if, I guess, we would go back to that thing, like, practice makes perfect, right? Or
and
practice
having the
makes
confidence
progress.
to just figure it out. Like, that to me is the ultimate entrepreneurial skill. It's to have the confidence. I'm actually not that good at this. I'm getting better. The confidence to fail fast. I'm like petrified of failure. I'm a perfectionist. You need to be able to just fail really fast and be totally okay with making a mistake and just fix it. Because, 90% of what you do is probably going to be a failure. If you can just expedite that process, that 10% of success is going to be what makes you successful, right? You just double down on that.
100%. And like, you've been following me forever on Instagram and socials and just life in general. And my whole practice has evolved dramatically. Like, you've seen it, and we've already kind of pointed it out. Like, it started totally digital. It started with a blog, and then it started with a digital practice. And now I have my hybrid practice. So it's transformed, and that transformation only happened because I've learned from failures, and I've learned from things that went well, things that didn't go well. And now here we are. And I'm still learning every day. Even though I'm in a better place, I'm still learning.
All right, This has been incredibly insightful, and I have one last question, but before I get to it, why don't you share with everybody how they can find you?
Sure. So, again, I am Nicole Lussier, soon to be Nicole Turnbow, because I'm getting married soon. So if you see the name discrepancy, that's why. You can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I post the most. It's Body in Motion PT. You can find me on Twitter, Body in Motion PT _. You can always email me, nicole@bodyinmotionpt.com. And my website's bodyinmotionpt.com. So there you go. It's pretty consistent across the board.
And Muscles in Motion, right? Is that still a focus of yours?
Yeah, so Muscles in Motion is a program within Body in Motion. So Body in Motion is my practice. Muscles in Motion is a strength-based training program, all through my app, all digital, that people can subscribe to. And they can either do a home-based exercise program or a gym-based exercise program. We just launched our home-based exercise program. So Muscles, I have like little components of Body in Motion. So Muscles in Motion is a strength-based exercise program where you can go in and follow this program. Mindset in Motion is our Facebook group. And then Body in Motion is our physical therapy practice.
Love it. That's awesome. So my last question.
Yes.
And this was advice that somebody gave to me. They framed it a little differently, but I was working with a recruiter one time, a long time ago, and he said, it was like in an interview, he said, last question, ask them 1 year from now, if you absolutely knocked it out of the park, what would that look like? So for you, I want to go 3 years from now. 3 years from now, Body in Motion PT is everything and more that you dreamed of. what does that look like?
Oh my gosh. Okay, 3 years from now, I want to have like a full staff. I mean, I'm thinking 6 months from now, I'd love to hire a therapist.
Yep.
But 3 years from now, it's so hard to think about 3 years from now, but in 3 years, I imagine that I'd have 10 therapists.
Yep.
We'd have maybe 3 locations. We'd be treating athletes in schools. We'd be treating not just adult athletes, but high school athletes, college athletes. I don't know. It would be so much bigger than what it is now. I wouldn't have to be the one person doing everything. We'd have a front desk staff, and I think that the biggest thing that I want to see in 3 years is so many more people have a better understanding of their body and so much more trust and confidence in their body. And beyond my practice growing, I would love to just see our local community here, but also a larger community, the community at large, be empowered and have their body in motion. That's why I named my practice Body in Motion. I want everyone's bodies to be in motion and to stay in motion. And if I can even be like a piece of that, I'd be so proud.
What an incredible way to end it. I know you're going to be successful. You're so talented, first of all, but your mindset is really amazing. And so I can't wait to see in 3 years from now. I'm going to replay this back. I'm going to show up at your door in your 3 practices and find which one you're at, play this back to you, and we'll celebrate it.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. You're the best.
So thank you, Nicole, for joining us today. And